GMB pros, welcome family, everyone that's catching us on the replay. Those that are catching us live on Facebook, I appreciate everyone's support. Once again, the goal of William and I's purpose of GMB pros is twofold. One, to help grow your agency, or two is help get better results for your clients. And we do this by having our guests and kind of giving over the shoulder, giving us like a perspective of different parts of marketing, different niches of marketing, right? And I came across Dave, and Dave and I chatted a little bit here. And as you guys see in the email, it has to do with healthcare SEO. Why is it different? How is it different? What are some of the challenges when it comes to content, when it comes to backlinks, right? When it comes to general in marketing, and why it's so different. So I'm like, perfect, right? We have a few. Dr. Margot's on here today. I just spoke with her, and she's like, she was really looking forward to today's GMB. So thank you for hopping on here with us. But David, for those of us that don't know you, if you can kind of give us a little like where you've been, I see you have RN, like, you're a registered nurse, where you're at today, how you got to marketing, and kind of like what the future holds for you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, it's been kind of a long journey coming into marketing, because I started out as a nurse and I just wanted to help people. That's why I did it. Wanted to have a job that had job security. Started working in the emergency department, and there I saw how many people needed help, specifically in the area of addiction. People were coming in every day overdosing. This would have been like 2009, 2010, when heroin was really starting to go everywhere. That was before fentanyl came down the pike. Bath salts were big back then. And it was insane just how many people needed help, how many people were dying or coming in asking for help. So I felt inspired to start a nonprofit addiction rehab center. And so I did that. And man, that's how I got in marketing. I had no idea what digital marketing really was at the time. I knew that Google made ads, but that's it. And so I out of necessity, I had to start learning some SEO, learning some Google ads. I hired an SEO agency, and man, I had no idea what they were doing. Our rep with the agency showed up high on heroin to Zoom calls, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. First of all, for him, but besides that, I was like, what are these guys doing? We need to do this on our own. We need to figure this out. I already had a videographer, somebody managing social media for our treatment center. And you know what? I knew that I need to do something. We could do a better job on our own, because I had been learning some SEO and some Google ads and stuff. Our ads budget at the time was $15,000 per month. We were cranking out lots of content. And so I said, you know what? I just need to start my own agency, because I can do a better job with some help of some other people. And sure enough, I started the agency. We call it Digitalis now, but basically it's a healthcare marketing agency. We can make a difference and help some other facilities, and then at the same time, it was going to be able to help us to do a better job for our own marketing, so people could find us and get help. And so that's what I ended up doing. And since then, it's been slow and steady, and we've been able to make a difference, continue to help people with their addiction issues, but then at the same time, do a great job for our clients and help healthcare facilities grow. So that's kind of the short version of it, but it's been a journey, but it's been a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if we can unpack that a little bit, like nursing in the ER. So that kind of hits close to home. Like my wife, she works, what state was that in, David?
It's Arizona.
Arizona. Okay, so my wife's in California.
Okay.
At the San Bernardino Community Hospital.
Wow.
And they have well, they actually have a mental health branch facility on there.
Okay.
So I get it. It really like hits home, like the help that is really needed.
Yeah. I'm sure
So
she's got endless stories. We'll tell stories for
yeah,
days. Don't have time in a
yeah.
podcast to tell any, that's for sure.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, our end, right? That's challenging as it is,
Yeah.
to get that. That's a great feat. So, when you switch to like a nonprofit, how was that like? Was that a smooth setup, or how did you get that started?
Oh man, it was actually really amazing. So I'm a Christian. I go to church, and so I told my pastor, it's like, man, I really feel like I want to do something to help some people because they need help, and all we have is like a list of local AA meetings that people can go to, which that's great, that's fine, but these people need more than that. And I wanted to start something that to help them where they can actually live there, learn how to create a budget, learn how to get a job, keep a job, more than just a list of AA meetings that the social worker is going to give them.
Mhm.
And he said, you know what, we want to try that, and my church was willing to invest in helping people, kind of like as an angel investment, just to help people in the community. So that's how it was funded. It started out as a sober living program, just where some in a house where some men could stay, get some help, with a handful of guys that were friends of mine that had been through some of the same things that these people had been through. And within a year, we ended up making it a full-on treatment center with a clinic. We had a detox program. We ended up a couple years later opening a women's house too, and then later that just didn't work out because the industry changed a lot. And so we ended up restructuring it completely. Now we're back to the way we had originally structured it, was just a men's home. We're not taking insurance anymore. Just keep it really simple. It's helping guys put their lives back together. And this is the way I love it the most. It's actually the most rewarding for me because now I'm not juggling paperwork, hiring and firing a bunch of staff. I mean, at one time we had 25 staff. Too
Uh,
crazy, too complicated dealing with health insurance. This is so much better. And we just have a handful of guys that are friends of mine helping these guys get their lives on the right track. So I love it.
Awesome, awesome,
And doing
yeah.
marketing at the same time.
Yeah, so it went
Yeah.
from so you're a nurse, you have these homes helping people, making an impact in your
Yeah.
community. Like, hey, you had this horrible experience, right? It's so common. Like, I don't know what my art marketing agency is doing. I don't know where my money is going, right?
Yeah.
So
I
it's
know that feeling.
like out of necessity, like you said, I got to
Mhm.
learn this, right? And is
Exactly.
somebody else in my industry going through this? So can you kind of like, okay, so you're learning this, you kind of seeing like, man, what are some of the like pitfalls? Because health, right?
Mhm.
Money, all that's, what are some of the extra hurdles that you have to climb or go through for that?
For healthcare marketing,
Yeah.
well, now you're taking me back to when I was looking for an agency. It was like, well, I know I don't have time to be writing blogs all day. I'm doing administrative stuff. I gotta bring on board a new therapist, or I gotta hire a new house technician. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I need help with this blog writing stuff. I know I should be doing some link building, but I don't know how to do it. So I just need to find an agency that actually understands healthcare. And so that brings me to probably some of the main thing is that it really is a unique industry. We all know that all of us that have worked in SEO or marketing, every client thinks that their industry is unique. It's like nobody lays tile like I do. I'm the only flooring guy that does it, or nobody has as quality of roof shingles as we do. Everybody can say that they're unique, and sure, every business needs to have a unique selling proposition. That's true. That doesn't mean it's a completely unique business. However, in healthcare, understanding healthcare is almost as important as understanding SEO itself, because they want someone that understands the marketing part, but understanding healthcare is extremely critical, because if you say something wrong on their website, there's legal implications to that.
Mm.
They're they can get sued, or they can have some malpractice, or something else. It is illegal to give medical advice or to claim to provide some sort of service when you're not actually providing it or not qualified to provide it. So it is a big deal. It really does matter in healthcare. Another thing is the language is different. They and they speak Latin basically. In healthcare, it's Latin. It's pretty complicated. and the technical jargon can get complex really quickly. One other thing is they're really dealing with human lives. There really are lives at stake. And so if we're going to do healthcare marketing, we got to make sure we're doing it right. So those are just a few of the things.
Cool. So can you walk us through, so marketing is marketing. I mean,
Yeah.
so when I say that, I mean, for me, it falls into 5 pillars, right? It
Okay.
falls into on page, off page, content, backlink, and traffic.
Yeah.
And I think you can take those to any, like you said, somebody that's laying tile, somebody a lawyer, and
Yeah.
then in this healthcare. Can you tell us how unique and different? Um, let's say we take content, backlink,
Mhm.
and then I'll let you pick one other area.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So content is super important. Obviously, we all know that because that's what the algorithms are trying to index to determine where people stand. So you can't just create content and post it. It really needs to be reviewed by someone who's a qualified medical professional. Like I said before, it's illegal to give medical advice without a license or to try to provide a service that you're not qualified to provide. And so the way I like to do it, there's a few different options that I give to clients when we're going to be producing content for them. And in an ideal world, what I like to do is have my team do all the keyword research, do all the SEO strategy, create an outline for the client, and have somebody that's actually on their team that's going to actually write it out. So we'll give them like a brief in a Google Doc. They'll flesh out and actually write it out, which we save them a ton of time because we create the outline. And then we'll do the SEO optimization afterwards. We'll actually go and post it for the Google Doc. We'll post it and then SEO optimize it, create internal links, do all the on-page stuff. And that's nice and smooth. That's great. The biggest issue for them then would be just having the time to do that. So it depends on the facility and their staff. Another way to do it nowadays, and especially in the last couple of years, to have AI generate it with our instruction, with our strategy and our keyword research already in place. So use AI to generate the content and then send it to somebody on their team to review it. We know that the error rate is super low with that because there aren't humans actually writing it. But that's something that some of our clients have brought to us as an idea just to save them time. And that's fine. If you guys want to do it that way, yeah, no problem. We just got to make sure that it's, reviewed by somebody who's qualified before it's actually published. Another way to do it would be for someone who actually has professional writers on their team. This would be for larger companies, especially as long as they have some SEO training. So we would create the guidelines, we do the SEO strategy, map it out, send it to the client to actually write everything. And then either they can do SEO optimization during that process, or we can SEO optimize it as far as internal linkings, reviewing everything, metadata, and so on.
Now, Dave, so with Google right now, how they like, even with AI, or you said keyword research and do the outline.
Yeah.
For healthcare, without giving advice, how do you make that a unique um piece of content? How do you put like your own spin, your own personality, and walking that line where it's for Google, it's for somebody that's a client that's searching for their help,
Yeah.
and staying in compliant?
Yeah, that's a question. That is a good question. It depends. If there's somebody that's qualified involved in the process, then that makes it a lot easier because you can give advice and you can say pretty much whatever you want as long as it falls within your expertise. So for me, if I'm reviewing something, or let's say somebody from the facility, if it's a physician assistant or an actual provider like a doctor, then anything goes. You can give health advice, so it's not an issue then. As long as it says that they reviewed it and approved it, then we're good. Yeah, but as far as walking the fine line, let's say if you don't have somebody who's a qualified professional, you can explain disease processes. Like you can explain, what's the spot on my skin, and you got a whole article that's saying 11 different skin conditions or something. That'd be more like a listicle, article describing what it is, but you're not necessarily giving advice.
Got it.
You just gotta stay within the parameters of what your expertise is.
Awesome. Absolutely. And I think it's easier, right? Because that's your niche, it's the healthcare industry, right?
And
So
yeah,
you
that helps.
kind of like, yeah, absolutely. It helps with the keywords, the AI prompts, right? Like, hey, you got to stick with
Yeah.
this, or some examples that you would maybe feed it.
Hmm.
So now you think the biggest hurdle as far as how do you get the clinic? Is it the doctor that's doing it? Is it the lawyer that's doing it? Is the nurse practitioner? Who's reviewing this to get them to? Because I think that's one of your biggest to get that back from them, right? They don't have time in between patients.
Yeah, we kind of spell that all out in a kickoff call. I like to do that, once we've decided to work together, we're a good fit for between us and them. That's one of the biggest things, we want to make sure how is the work going to get done and who are the key people that need to review it first. If it's going to be more than two people, it just becomes too cumbersome and they're going to end up not having time to do it. Then we end up waiting 6 months and they got a backlog of 40 blog posts. This is not going to work well. They're not going to be getting the results that they want unless they
Mhm.
have some time to do that. So yeah, the key is just having somebody that can commit to it.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we talked about content, and that's kind of on page, right? Keyword
Yeah,
outlines, that's all still relevant. That's best in
critical.
class, right? Right? Best
Yeah.
practices, yeah, critical. Um, as far as, let's say, backlinks,
Mhm.
right? Now, what is your philosophy? What is your thought as far as backlinks? Is there just backlinks for backlink's sake? Is it specific? Is it geo-specific? Do you have your own? How do you leverage that
Yeah,
lever?
I would say it's a mixture of all of the above, honestly. You
Mhm.
always want to start with the foundation, especially like in the first month, as you're fixing any critical technical errors and getting your content strategy and everything like that together. I would do the main directories, make sure the client has those. There's so many different solutions with the main directories, like obviously Google My Business, Apple Maps, Yext. Um, I'm sorry, not Yext. Um, Yahoo, Bing places. And then what I like to do is you do the main directories and you could use Yext. SEM Rush Local is actually a really good one that been using more recently in the last year or two. That's affordable and really good quality. Just to get the top directories, the main directories that are not niche specific. But then we get into the juicy stuff, which is um, more along the lines of what you asked. The industry specific ones, they can be huge. Like WebMD, that is massive. There's like 4 or 5 main healthcare ones that you don't want to miss. After
Mhm.
that, they're not as important because they're less likely. The other industry specific ones are less likely to be bringing real traffic, but they're still good for backlinks. But the main ones would be Health Grades, WebMD, Vitals.com, US News Health, and then ZocDoc. Those are like the big 5 main healthcare directories. You want to be listed in those. Definitely.
Now, are those publications or are those like your directories?
Those are actual directories. US
Okay.
News Health, they do have like their own publications because these are actually like some of them are multi-billion dollar companies.
Mhm.
But yeah, it can be both. But they do have each of those does have their own directory. Yeah.
Oh, and that's what I was talking to Dr. Margot here as far as her GMB and like it's with the different packages
Yeah.
we offer. So we were just talking about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's
So
huge. That definitely helps a lot. I will add a couple of things to that. So that's like just laying the foundation. But one thing I will mention that you don't want to miss is sometimes you get really unique opportunities with publicity. Like we've done a lot of Hero link building with some clients, and certain niches, it can be hard to get them, but some that are easier would be anything cosmetic or skin related, like a med spa, dermatology, plastic surgeons, it, anything that's related to like personal care or like any health issue that people are highly aware of or looking out for is something that's a huge publicity opportunity. We've gotten some amazing links from some really big places like Yahoo News or even like Huffington Post from articles through Harrow specifically. So that's something to really look out for and dig into.
nice. So does this require like a lot of time? How big is your team now as far as within the marketing agency? Is it a lot of effort put into those backlinks?
It can be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, you can set up alerts like automations in your email. I like to create a unique inbox for each client. That way we can monitor that inbox, sign up for Haro for their specific opportunities that we're looking for. I only have 2 writers on our team.
Awesome.
They're just super efficient. Like if you have really good operational processes, I only have 2 people that are internal. I mean, we have a network of writers that we can also tap if we're like, let's say we're super busy or something. But because we have a decent number of clients writing their own stuff, we don't have to have a huge internal team of writers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. We covered a little bit, the best practices, what I like to call them, your foundational stuff, right? Best in class, as far as that, with, keyword research for your content on page, your backlinks, start off with the basics, go after, the big ones here, especially with Haro that you can expand out. What else makes healthcare SEO different?
I think one of the biggest things is when we're looking at user experience and what the algorithm wants to see, especially with the page experience update in the last couple of years for Google, healthcare facilities and especially providers, they have a lot of credibility. That's one thing that makes it unique because they have those initials behind their name, MD or whatever it is. And that makes them so valuable. Any asset that you create, any content that you can create makes them an expert. And they already are an expert. They already went to medical school. They've put, 12 or 14 years of schooling into who they are and who their practice is. But when they have huge pieces of content that are bringing them credibility, bringing them publicity beyond that, and that's on their website, that's a nicely designed website. It's professional, easy to use. Man, that's something that makes them go a tier above to show that they're standing out from the crowd. It's not just a website built on Wix by their cousin in 2005. You know what I mean? You see the difference. You see the difference. And what that does is it enhances who they are, makes them stand out above the pack.
Now, I know you have like your experience and your background is like with substance abuse and the ER, the real extreme cases, right? But within your agency, does this work for like functional medicine, the dental offices, the chiropractors? Is it different, or within your agency, do you deal with those offices or those practices?
Yeah, I've worked with lots of different specialties. It just really depends. The main thing is we want somebody that we can communicate with. I mean, we do obviously tons of research when it comes to before creating any content, but the main thing is that we need to have somebody that we can ask questions of if we're not personally familiar. Now, my content manager, she's a registered dietitian. I have content writers that are nurses or nurse practitioners or medical doctors. I have all of the above, really. And so we could definitely go beyond the specialties that I personally worked in. I personally worked like you said, behavioral health, addiction medicine, emergency medicine. I worked in surgery for a total of about 5 years, but I haven't worked as a nurse in a couple years. And so I definitely can't just rely on my own personal experience. But we definitely want to lean on other people who have more knowledge in different areas.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's so different, right? Like, weight loss clinic here. Dr. Margot, if you want to chime in here with any questions, feel free, or, Kyle, or, any of our guests that are here live, feel free to, chime in, because it's kind of unique. And, I love to hear the lingo that you're using within the marketing world, but hey, like medical, the medical niche it's very unique as well, right?
Yeah, if you guys want to jump in, that'd be great. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say because there's so much to it. I mean, every subspecialty has got their own unique language.
Yes. So if you guys have questions, don't hesitate to or type it in the box. And those are you that are on Facebook Live. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments. I don't see any. Let me see here. I don't see any in the Facebook chat as of right now. We do have a couple people, looks like, watching. So if you guys have any questions, feel free. Now, for those doctors that are starting off, David, like they know they need marketing, right? But
True.
they're also running their office. They're
Yeah.
the project manager, picking them up, their patient, family, family work balance. How would you advise somebody, or maybe a doctor in a different discipline is going off on their own? Like, how important is marketing? We know we need a bookkeeper, we know we need a
Mhm.
project manager, an office manager, right?
Yeah.
Like, how the importance or the order of marketing for somebody that's just starting, opening up their
Mhm.
office, and how do they sort that chaos?
Man, that's huge. That's a really, really good question. You know, the main thing is to have a plan in place because most healthcare facilities, especially private practices or smaller groups, they rely heavily on referrals. And if they're getting a ton of referrals, that's great. I have one client they're a neurology clinic. They get 2,000 patient referrals per month. They couldn't possibly use my SEO service. We're providing just website maintenance for them and then helping them with review automation now, just because they need to fix their Google profiles and get reviews from the happy patients. So that's all they need right now. They're completely overloaded. However, starting out, and especially as competitive as the landscape is now, you need to at least make sure that you have a growth strategy in place. I just made a LinkedIn post the other day talking about strategy versus tactics. And if you have a solid strategy in place, you can compensate and adjust and make changes as you go along, but your overall strategy is solid. But if you're just trying one tactic after another, just to desperately try to get something, that doesn't last in the long term. You need to at least talk to somebody who has experience in that industry to know which way should I attack this or what are the options, because every stage of growth is going to be a little different with how you should approach it. There's a lot of companies, they really shouldn't even start with SEO if that's not where your patients are. If you're in a heavy, like let's say LA or Orange County, or even like New York City, like a big urban area that has a lot of competition in your niche, I wouldn't start out with just SEO. It'd be better to start with paid advertising, and you can build up SEO over time. But you're not going to get a strong flow of patients if you're just starting out with SEO, if it's a highly competitive niche. And in those situations, your website design and your branding is super important. So you got to lay the foundation right. You got to have a solid strategy in place, and at least talk to somebody, even if it's just for an hour. Most marketing agencies will give a free consultation just to give you advice to start out. Most of the time, they're not going to charge you like an hourly rate, just because they want to build some goodwill with you and help you out, honestly. So that's where I would start, just talking to somebody who can help point you in the right direction. Even if you're not ready to hire an agency, just talk to somebody who knows the industry, who can help you lay the right foundation to get off on the right foot. The main thing is to get revenue. Just get some patients in the door, get things started. You can always add marketing on later.
So Kyle, I see your question on there. I'll hit it, but I don't want to lose my train of thought. So for that doctor, how does his BS meter, right? Because us as marketers, kind of like yourself, right? You heard all the right stuff.
True.
Okay, bam, we got, okay, I'm gonna go with you, probably go with you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, right? And then like yourself, like, man, this guy's an addict himself, or what the heck, where's my money going?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that doctor, that office manager, what are some like red flags that they should look for when speaking to an agency?
There's a few different things. First of all, what's the length of the commitment? Because nobody wants to feel like their money is being wasted. I have been there myself. Um, First of all, what's the commitment? How long is the commitment? Is it 3 months? Is it month to month? Is it 6 months, 12 months? I've had some companies that want to have a 2-year commitment. I wouldn't want to commit to something longer than necessary. You should legally have a way to get out of it without breaking your contract. So I would definitely look at that first of all. Next, do you have experience in my industry? And it doesn't have to be like, do you have experience with, working with dental surgeons, or maxillofacial surgeons or otorhinolaryngologists? It doesn't have to be that specific necessarily for you to do a good job, an excellent job with SEO and marketing, because most of those specialties in marketing really don't exist, to be honest. It's hard enough to find somebody just who understands healthcare marketing at all. So you want to find somebody that's excellent at what they do, and then have some sort of plan in place to make sure that they're going to be able to deliver in your niche. As long as that's in place, you're going to be good, as long as you're not going to be getting messed up in the other areas. So I would ask, like, what all, another thing would be, what services overall that do you offer? And because it depends on what you're looking for. So like, let's say a marketing company that only works with national companies, they're probably not going to understand how to do a good job of local SEO. If you have a physical location, like a clinic or a surgery center in a specific city, you don't want to have leads from New York City if you're in LA. You don't need, you're a local clinic. You only need local patients. So you want to make sure that they know how to do the hyper local marketing. Do they do local keyword research? Because then the terms people are going to be searching for are going to be a little different in LA versus New York City. So that's another thing. Another thing to look out for is, what does your gut say about the person? Do they feel like an honest person? Because that really matters. Is this an individual and a company that you can trust? Because that actually says a lot. Like, that's just as important as their level of skill. We've all met people that are very skilled but very dishonest at the same time. So those are other things I think about.
Great answer. Love that answer. That's like on point, right? If David, if we can go back to your content and actually address Kyle's question. He
Yeah.
writes, his question is, when you get a client to edit AI generated content, do you ask that they sign off as an author? If so, do you create an author profile for each piece of content you published?
What I like to do is have an individual that represents the clinic or the facility who is the qualified provider, and then literally have them review all content before it gets published. And we don't have to necessarily say that it was written by them, but you can say it was reviewed by them.
Got it.
It depends. We just agree ahead of time how we want to phrase that. But our team writes stuff with the help of AI, or it can be all human. It just depends on whatever the agreement is ahead of time. You just want to make sure that you say whatever you're saying is the truth and that's legitimate, but you don't want to post it without it being reviewed by someone who's qualified for sure.
That at the very least, you want that reviewed, get to my vote. And that's one thing, like, I've been on a big kick on, like, with AI and these tools, and even like a tool like all this, or recently, like Search Atlas, they embed a lot of AI, but it doesn't replace that human eye, especially with content.
Yeah.
That you want to make it your own experience, your own point of view, to kind of make it more unique.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah.
So
And I will add to that, that really has become the standard in the last year or two for even the huge websites. I would say WebMD is one of the few that is completely written, or as far as we know, is completely written by the humans, because they have such a massive number of staff that are doctors. But almost all the other ones, if you look in the author section, it says, medically reviewed by, John Smith, MD, or whoever the individual is that reviewed it. So most of it is written by AI nowadays.
And then, but it'll say reviewed on them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Kyle, hopefully that got your question. Weight loss clinic, what would you recommend for 100% online medical clinics, medical clinic services, 100% telemed?
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if I completely understand the whole question. Are you asking what would I recommend for like a marketing strategy? I'm assuming I'm going to go with that. I'm going to run with that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Put it in the comments, but I'm going to assume that's what it is. You want a flow. You want a flow of traffic. You want to start out with traffic if it's that type of clinic, because if it's telemed, I mean, you're getting people from online only. You most likely don't have a physical location. So in most cases, I would do a combination of organic SEO, which builds as a snowball effect over time. And at the same time, most of your leads are going to be coming from paid advertising. So this could be Google and YouTube ads, Facebook ads. Pinterest would work really well with that niche because it's 30 to 50-year-old females. That's where I would start. You want to try some TikTok ads, but you want to test a bunch of different things, but start with what works, brings a lot of traffic at the lowest cost per click. And then as you get results, just iterate from there. But that's where I would start, definitely, in most cases.
Yeah, so they put in terms of SEO.
Oh, okay.
There is no GMB as far as
Mhm.
their understanding.
Okay.
So in terms of SEO, no GMB. What
Okay.
would you recommend for 100% online medical clinic services, 100% telemed?
Okay. If we're only focusing on SEO, I would start organic, do a massive amount of content. You're gonna want to be publishing regularly, weekly for sure, like probably multiple posts per week. And then for the link building part, since you can't lean on directories, it's not as important when you're dealing with that. It's a very um, competitive, I would say. I'm under non-disclosure, but I have worked with a weight loss clinic, very large chain, and we saw 50%, what was it? I think it was a 30% increase in organic traffic in 3 months is what it was. And what we did was large amounts of content for the keywords that was the low-hanging fruit. So the keywords that were between like number 8 and number 20 on Google, focused heavily on creating content with those and building links to those. The best type of links that you can build that are going to make the biggest impact would be publicity links. And that's something that you can engineer with press releases, with Haro and other publicity opportunities. Because the reach is so massive, those are the links that are definitely going to help you the most.
So great questions, guys. I appreciate that. If you have any more, don't hesitate to drop them in there. Awesome. Thanks. No, yep.
Absolutely.
So awesome. I appreciate you guys participating in here. So Dave, as we close this up, how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way if they have any clients, if they want you to kind of partner up, any guidance, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Now, the best place would be LinkedIn. I don't know if, yeah, I'll go ahead and put my email in here too. I hope I don't get spammed by anybody, but no, LinkedIn, I'm David Sanchez RN. That's my LinkedIn. I'm happy to talk, even if somebody has questions. I'll give even consultation without any charge, complimentary, just to help people out. I'm a nurse at heart. I love helping people. So even if it doesn't benefit me, it's all about helping people. So you can reach me through my email at david@digitalismedical.com. Happy to answer any questions there. Looks like we might have some other questions here. Happy to answer.
Yeah. Can you read that? Can you see it?
I lost it.
Under messages or chat.
Let me open that up. Okay, here we go. Can you elaborate on the publicity link building? I'm sorry, that's probably a little too in depth. I'll be happy to to explain that a little bit more, there's some courses I've taken that really help spell that out. I'm happy to help you in a separate call. It's just going to take too long.
No, no worries. Okay. So again, guys, you know, LinkedIn is probably the best spot. Reach out with, you know, for David. David, any way that the team here, the GMB family, could support you? You have anything that you want to share that, you know, you wanted to publicize, or people, you know, get behind or support you in?
Yeah, the biggest thing is just for us to help each other, you know? I mean, everybody knows that there's sales and marketing people that you can't trust. And we're in this to help people, you know. We're here to
Yes.
support people and do great work, just like I did as a nurse, you know. I worked as a nurse because I liked helping people, and people knew they could trust me doing that. And I think we should take that our integrity with us wherever we go. So the more people we help, the better the marketing industry looks. That's the way I see
That's
it.
it. 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. So one last question, David asked this of all our guests. It's a little bit different here. What is a fun fact about David that nobody knows?
That nobody knows. Well, I don't know about that nobody knows. I'm a pretty transparent person. Well, I tore my ACL last year. I played basketball since I was like 8 years old. I tore my ACL a year ago, just finished recovering. I can't really play basketball anymore. It's just not the same. I mean, I can mess around, but I can't play competitively anymore. So I've switched
Awesome.
to pickleball a few months ago, and I'm having a lot of fun playing pickleball.
That seems to be kind
I
of
really
popular
enjoy
here
it.
lately.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
used to look down on it like, that's not like a competitive sport. Once you start playing and actually being able to hit the ball, that helps a lot. So I'm starting to really love it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, David, I appreciate you. Thank you for hopping on here. Your insight on you know, healthcare SEO. I appreciate you, guys. Thank you again for those that are catching the replay, those that are on the Facebook Live, and those that are here with us. With that being said, guys, much love, much success, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.